So that's Nancy Pelosi slamming NBC News when she was on MSNBC, saying the media's basically out to get her, trying to undermine her and prevent her from becoming speaker again. It's interesting. We're joined by Doug Schoen, the former Clinton pollster, Fox News contributor, and also by Hadley Heath Manning, who's the Independent Women's Forum Policy Director. Welcome to you both. Doug, you know, there's been talk, a lot of these elections it's come up. I remember I covered Pennsylvania 18, where the question was asked of Conor Lamb 100 times, and now it's been many more candidates than that. Would you support Nancy Pelosi? And many of them say that they would not. But, you know, how do you think this all ends up?
Well, look, I still say she's the favorite to become speaker if, in fact, the Democrats win back the House. The but, though, is that the Conor Lamb victory demonstrates that if you distance yourself from Washington generally and Nancy Pelosi specifically, you can win races that you otherwise wouldn't win. So my advice to Democrats, stay as far away from Nancy Pelosi as possible, and our chance to win the House only increases.
Well, it's interesting, Hadley, because I think it was the NBC story, but the numbers that are out there is that last time around there was a decent amount of opposition to Nancy Pelosi for leadership. Tim Ryan name came up from Ohio. 63 Democrats supposedly opposed her in closed-door meetings of the caucus, but then only 4, Hadley, voted against her when it came to a vote on the floor of the House. So is Doug right this time around? Even if she's somehow right and people are out to get her, I don't know if the media or whoever it is, if people are out to get her, will she actually be removed from power, whether it's a speaker, a minority leader, however the election goes next time around?
Well, I do think Doug is right. He's giving good advice to the Democrats to maybe back away from, latching on to one particular person, especially Nancy Pelosi, when it comes to the speakership. I believe her biggest problem is not ultimately the media, however. It's simply that Americans on both sides of the political spectrum are tired of seeing the same faces, the same names getting recycled in these positions of power. They want to see new faces, new names, and have more of a, citizen leader rather than people who have spent their entire career in politics.
It's also her biggest problem. Also her biggest strength in some ways, right, Doug? Because she's been there forever. I mean, that's what people don't like about her. But the reason she might keep power is almost, isn't it? For that reason, that she's been there forever, knows all the fundraisers, raises tons of dough.
Well, the last part is, I think, most important. She's raising a lot of money. A lot of these candidates are beholden to her and the people who work with her. And it's pretty hard to get up the votes to beat somebody. You can't beat somebody with nobody. Right now, the Democrats just don't have an alternative.
And there's definitely and Hadley's right. There's kind of a thirst for new energy, new blood, new something. But it's got to be an actual person. I don't know if Tim Ryan could get it done this time. He couldn't last time around. I want to get your guys' take though on a new poll that's out. This is actually, while we're talking about the Democratic Party, somewhat fascinating. It shows 57% of Democrats who were polled, now have a positive view of socialism. Just 47% of Democrats have a favorable view of capitalism. So, Hadley, these Democrats who were polled prefer, I mean, it sounds ridiculous to say, but they prefer socialism to capitalism. Your take?
Yeah, this is posing to be a real identity crisis for Democrats. But ultimately, I don't think it's as bad as the polling suggests, because I think the definitions of the word socialism and capitalism can be different for different people. People have connotations of, greed and negative things associated with capitalism, which it's really not.
Aren't there negative
On the other hand, when
things
people
associated with socialism? I know the freebie argument, I'm sure, is what you're going to make, but...
well, I think some younger people especially don't think of a government-managed economy or government ownership of the means of production, the dictionary definition of socialism. They're thinking of a bigger welfare state or socialized health care, socialized education. So there's different definitions to different people, which is why the polling doesn't really get down to it. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say there's a big question. We were showing Bernie Sanders while you were speaking. There's a big question as we get to the midterms whether the influence of Bernie Sanders, but also Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who we showed previously, is as large as some, Doug, are making it out to be, because the candidates they endorsed in that last primary that we all covered didn't do so well. So, yes, the polling for socialism, to Hadley's point, maybe is a little bit better than the reality on the ground. Who's really winning out in the Democratic Party, Doug? You should know.
Well, there is a substantial body of energy, particularly with younger people, as Hadley said, for socialist-style policies, greater involvement of the state. I think that bespeaks more frustration with the party and with the way the country is
But that's
run.
not a winning strategy, to be clear. in
No,
your
it
view.
isn't.
I mean,
It might be in the primaries. It
Right.
might be. But it is not in a general election, and I'm very glad 5 of 6 people that Ocasio-Cortez in the Midwest lost last Tuesday.
Because
Good
there's an
news.
opening. I mean, if you think about it just logically and just look at the poll, there's an opening for Democrats. Obviously, in the midterms, and we've seen that already. But just Hadley looking ahead to 2020 as well. And to Doug's point, you wonder how could socialism be the winning strategy that jumps into that opening? It just doesn't make sense. I know that's where the energy is, but what do you think?
That's right. And, interestingly, Reason did a poll comparing capitalism and socialism and support among millennials. When they asked the question a different way and said, would you rather have a free market economy or a government-managed economy? There was much greater support for a free market economy. So I think, terms aside, there's still hope that the United States can maintain their status as a beacon of free enterprise, and that the next generation can embrace that as well.
We end on the point from Hadley that all hope is not yet lost.
Absolutely.
Thank you to Doug and Hadley for
Great.
coming on. Appreciate it. Good to see both of you.